I worked at Best Buy for like about 8 years, and I thought that for a while there, that was going to be my career path, that I was going to climb the ranks, the ladders of Best Buy, and one day, be a GM or something like that. That did not play out the way that I thought it was going to play out. And then I started to find out about a little app called PrizePicks. I ended up being PrizePicks brand ambassador for 2 years, and I was being paid handsomely to do so.
What advice would you have for someone like that to chase their dreams?
Well, I think the big thing for me and why I was able to have the success that I had was
What's up, everybody? Ryan here on the CEO Corner podcast. I am joined by CJ from CurryTheCreator. CJ is a member of the 100K Earnings Club on DubClub. Such a fun story today, CJ. I'm pumped to dive in. I've loved your story since you and I met over. It's been about 2 years now, if you believe it or not. We met, I think it was like March or April 2023, and then you finally launched your DubClub as the CEO of your DubClub in, I think, August or September of 2023, around that time frame. And the rest is history. I always like starting with the origin story because it's really fun to kind of think, okay, you've been building a business on DubClub that takes content, takes information and research, and gives people information on how to make better decisions when betting on sports. But you started in IT, if I'm not mistaken. So take us back in time to the CJ story before CurryTheCreator was even a thing, and talk a little bit about what it was like, as a non-business owner quite yet on DubClub.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I was a IT guy for many, many years. I worked at Best Buy for like about 8 years, and I thought that for a while there, that was going to be my career path, that I was going to climb the ranks, the ladders of Best Buy, and one day, be a GM or something like that. That did not play out the way that I thought it was going to play out. So what I ended up doing was kind of pivoting. While I was still at Best Buy, I ended up getting into the Geek Squad, and as you might know, that's like their tech sort of branch inside the store where people bring in their computers with viruses and all kind of fun stuff, and you learn how to fix them. And so that was kind of the launch of my IT career, and I used that as sort of a way to transition over to an actual IT job outside of retail, and ended up working for a private school, large private school here in the Tampa Bay area for a while, doing really the similar thing, kind of a help desk IT support style role. And then that led me to my last IT job before I got into what I'm doing now. And I started to get more and more of this yearning for more meaning in life, and to do something that I was more passionate about. I could have kept going down the IT path if I wanted to, but that was just not scratching the itch that I had. And so I was like, well, what could I do that kind of combines something I'm passionate about, sports, something that I'm, wanting to do more of, which is like creative type of work, and something that has a booming or emerging market or industry like the sports betting, daily fantasy sports industry. And so I kind of set off to find whatever that was. And I ended up leaving my IT career at the end of 2019, and I left cold turkey. I didn't have anything lined up. I essentially made what was, little did I know at the time, the best bet of my life, and that was betting on myself. And I used that time of being unemployed to launch an Amazon FBA business. That was my first foray into entrepreneurship and being a small business owner. Didn't know anything about starting an Amazon store, didn't know anything about selling products on Amazon, but for the next few months, I would learn the ins and outs of how to sell on Amazon, and I actually did not stick with that either, as you might have guessed. I used that experience, though, to basically look at what I was doing and say, hey, man, you can do anything, literally anything that you put your mind to, you could accomplish. And it was kind of like a proof of concept to me that if you want to go out and you want to be your own boss, if you want to be a small business owner, business of one, you can do that because you have the ability to go out and learn anything. The resources are there. You just got to go out and find them and get to work. And so, long story short, I kind of let that business dry up, and I started to get more into graphic design and learning more about like the Adobe Photoshops and the Adobe Premiere and Adobe Elements and all that stuff. And I wanted to kind of build skills, stack skills up that would lead to opportunities. And I did get my first opportunity, and it was writing a article for Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, one of his brands, his companies called 1:35 p.m. And they were looking for somebody that was going to write an NFL focused blog, I guess you could say, for every week of the NFL. And this thing was kind of a cross between fantasy football, football card collecting, and daily fantasy sports like your DraftKings and FanDuel. And so I did that for about a year, making about $80 an article. It wasn't much at the time, but it was experience. Wow. And it was getting your foot in the door somewhere. And I started doing that, and then I started to find out about a little app called PrizePicks. At the time, nobody knew anything about PrizePicks. They didn't really have a lot of content out there or marketing out there. Quite the difference than what you see today. You can't turn on a sporting event without seeing a PrizePicks commercial. But I reached out to the folks over at PrizePicks. I say, hey, I really love your product. I think this is going to be the next thing, the next evolution of daily fantasy sports. Because at the time, it was FanDuel or DraftKings. It was you against a bunch of sharks at the top of a tournament trying to win $1 million cash prize. And you keep seeing the same guys winning every single week and stuff. And so I was like, man, this is different. This is me versus the projections. I don't have to go against the sharpest players out there or anything like that. And so it kind of caught my attention. And anyway, I reached out to the guys over at PrizePicks. I said, listen, I'm building skills right now. I'm trying to get into graphic design or content creation. Your app's really cool. If you guys are ever hiring, please consider me. And they said, well, we don't have any plans for this right now, but as we get into like 2021, we're going to start doing, more content. We definitely want to keep in touch with you. And so my next step before I even got on video was let me start a WordPress blog. And I used this WordPress blog as a way to prove myself. I told the guys over at PrizePicks, I said, listen, I know you're not ready to hire me yet, but let me show you what I can do for free. You guys can keep tabs on me. We'll keep in touch. And meanwhile, I'm going to prove myself to you guys through this, WordPress blog. And so I was doing write-ups on my favorite player prop plays at the time. I remember Josh Allen over passing yards. Here's why. And I would do the full analysis and research and post it on my WordPress blog. And then I started to make connections in this space with other people who were playing on PrizePicks but didn't really have a home. I created a Discord. Nobody else really at the time had a Discord that was focused on PrizePicks. I'd like to think that I was one of the first to do it. I was actually, before PrizePicks had a Discord, I had a Discord. And I remember people who work at PrizePicks, some of their VPs and higher ups, jumping in my Discord to see, what is this guy doing? What's this buzz around PrizePicks? He's building something here around, our app, and we really like that, and let's see what he's
when
doing.
Was this? Was this 2020, 2021?
Late 2020, early 2021.
Yeah, smack in the middle of COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, right around that time. So I started to build community, and I think that's a big thing that is lost on a lot of people is the importance of community. But I started to make connections with people through Twitter, make connections through people who saw my WordPress blog, and started inviting them to the Discord. And that was kind of the genesis of the foundation of what I'm doing now. And it just continued to go from there. And then early 2021, January 1, I finally kicked fear in the face and said, I got to get on video. I got the camera, I got the microphone, I got everything that I need to get started.
Got the IT background, you had everything. You got the Geek Squad connections.
Yeah, everything
you
was
had
there.
What you
everything
needed
was
to
in
set
place.
up the foundation for a fantastic video delivery media experience in the sports betting industry.
Yeah, and it isn't what you see now. Obviously, I've leveled up things as I went and as I've grown. I was just basically starting with like 1 or 2 monitors, not nice lighting, not my own setup here. I was actually living in my in-laws' house for, what I thought was going to be a couple of months turned into a few years. We ended up staying there for 4 years throughout COVID. And that step back is probably something that a lot of people wouldn't have done. There's too many people out there, I think, that are too prideful, and it's like, no, I'm not going to sell my house, quit my job, and go move in with my in-laws or my parents for a few years to reboot, reset professionally. But I'm telling you, it was the absolute best thing for me. It was a total game changer. It allowed me to reset, refocus, and go down the path that I'm on now. But getting back to the story, I was jumping on YouTube around January 1st, 2021. I was scared for a long time, to be honest with you, to be on camera. I'm an introverted person. I'm not somebody who's really out there like that. I wasn't creating any content prior to my first video on YouTube or anything like that. But I knew that for me to grow and for me to kind of take the next step and for me to take this where I wanted it to go, that I couldn't stay hidden behind a WordPress blog, that people needed to get to know me, CJ Curry, the creator. And so getting on video was, I think, the best move for me and the best way to do that. And I started my YouTube channel and started cranking out a PrizePicks video a day, every single day, just about, for the first few months. And before you know it, within 4 months, I had reached YouTube partner status. In other words, you can begin to monetize your content on YouTube. And I became a YouTube partner. And PrizePicks took notice, and I put a little pressure on them, sent out a tweet. I remember it vividly. I said, all right, PrizePicks isn't really messing with me like that. Let me send this tweet out. And I tagged everybody at the time. Underdog. I think Monkey Knife Fight was another one of the big DFS apps at the time. They're no longer around. But anybody that was a PrizePicks competitor, I was like, I'm tagging all these guys, and I'm going to tell them that, hey,
whoever else is in there.
I'm going to start making content about all these other apps and companies if PrizePicks doesn't want to play anymore. And then I got a little DM from PrizePicks. Hey, man, we really love what you're doing. Let's set up a call. And they ended up signing me to an exclusive deal for 1 year. And all of a sudden, I was going from making nothing, posting these PrizePicks focused player prop videos on YouTube, to making a couple $1,000s a month. And for someone who was doing it for free, all of a sudden you're making kind of a part-time, semi-full-time income. I mean, that was a big deal for me. I don't think companies like PrizePicks are just handing out deals like that to anyone willy-nilly. You don't hear about that in this industry very often. And so fast forward, I just kept doing my thing. And then come 2022, around the Super Bowl, that deal had run out with PrizePicks, and PrizePicks was ready to kind of like either move on from me or get in even tighter with me. And I wasn't sure which way it was going to go. But thankfully, they said, no, we want to name you the first PrizePicks brand ambassador. And I ended up being PrizePicks brand ambassador for 2 years. It was a 2-year contract. And I think all in, I mean, it was, I don't know the exact figure, but it was very lucrative. It ended up being a full-time gig for me. They were essentially paying me a full-time salary to continue doing what I was doing already, which was build my own YouTube channel up, build my own brand up, build my Discord community up. And that's what I continued to do. And I was being paid handsomely by PrizePicks to do so. And so it was an amazing thing for someone like me who sets out to beat sites like PrizePicks and beat the books. It was pretty awesome for them to be paying me to basically beat them. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And so that 2-year deal ran out about a year or so ago. And I've been kind of I guess we'll say a free agent ever since. I am now partnered with PrizePicks, Underdog, Sleeper, etc. And I've really seen tremendous growth since jumping over to DubClub as well. So that's pretty much the backstory to present. You know, I make videos on YouTube, try to help people win player prop bets. I focused on PrizePicks, but I do cover other apps and stuff now. And I've got a whole flourishing Discord community, DubClub community to go along with that. So,
CJ, what an awesome job recapping the background. I'm just gonna quickly synopsize like the highlights of what I heard. You started, well, I don't know if you started your career, but you're working at Best Buy, and while at Best Buy, corporate job for the most part, right? You're working at a bigger corporation. You had ambitions to climb the ladder, maybe be a general manager one day, but you found yourself then in the Geek Squad, learned about IT, really built that skill set. And then it sounds like had a bit of an itch, as you might, like to call it, the entrepreneurial itch. You wanted to build a skill set. You wanted to learn. You wanted to iterate. You wanted to break ground on new things. And so you bet on yourself and you said, look, I'm going to start moving myself into the video content sphere over time. But this was after you spun up an Amazon, an FBA, fulfillment by Amazon business, already breaking into new ground as an entrepreneur, as a merchant, as someone who's selling, especially an introvert like you. It's no joke to be able to do that. Got further along, learned graphic design, learned about Adobe Elements, started really evangelizing and manifesting this passion you have for sports by writing articles, getting paid $80 an article, and got yourself then into player props, started giving out, some advice, making plays based off of an angle or an edge that you had on a certain player prop. I like the Josh Allen example that you gave because I'm a huge Josh Allen fan. Take the over every time. That's not actual advice that I would give, by the way, but I just think he's awesome. And you put a blog of your own onto a WordPress site, and that was kind of like the start of the technology journey as you offered a product to the world as the CEO of your business. Very, very, inklings of it at the onset. And that's when, obviously after that, you started creating a ton of videos on YouTube, or at least around that time, ton of videos on YouTube. PrizePicks picked it up, recognized that, like, hey, this guy's got a lot of influence. People like to listen to him. I'm not shocked that the 2-year deal with PrizePicks lapsed, because at the end of the day, if you're sending a lot of people to their app and you're really, really good, like you are, at giving people advice and information on how to make more informed decisions, it's actually a net negative for PrizePicks, because it's going to end up making them lose more money. They're trying to get people. So that's like the antithesis, which is funny. Is like we love PrizePicks, we love all these apps because they facilitate an activity people love doing, betting on sports. But we're sort of like where DubClub sits to empower our CEO partners like you, is to provide information that help people make better decisions on the sports books themselves. But it's ironic because if you guys are betting on those sports books, like you're also making plays yourself on PrizePicks. PrizePicks is cool with you doing that up until the point when you get a lot of people listening to you and actually taking your advice. And then at that point, it becomes so obvious that, oh, wait, a lot of people are listening to CJ. He's got a loud microphone and people can hear him, and they're actually taking the advice that he's giving them, rather than what PrizePicks would want to happen, which is you tell them to come bet, a four leg, just for the sense, I know that's not the right term to use for PrizePicks, but like 4 legs. It's a 4-man, I think, is the term they use in the industry for PrizePicks.
4-pick entry or whatever.
4-pick entry. There's so many different ways that people say it, but I'm like 4 or 6-man when I'm playing on PrizePicks. But you give someone a 4-man, they come to PrizePicks to take your advice, they make that play. What PrizePicks wants to happen is that they then stop listening to you and go make their own plays and end up losing a lot of money. But what we're facilitating is making it easier and easier and easier than ever for you, our CEO partner, to deliver your information and achieve financial freedom on DubClub, which actually helps more consumers. Right. That's the whole point. So it's a win-win, win more together type of ecosystem here. And you have an awesome story. You started to talk a little bit about, once you began building your business, you actually started on using a product, I believe, called Patreon. That's where you started. Talk a little about that experience. What were you doing before DubClub? How was that? This isn't a sales pitch for DubClub versus Patreon. Like, I really want listeners, and a lot of our listeners are other sports content creator CEOs, or those that are budding. They want to take that leap. They want to bet on themselves like you did. Talk to me a little bit about what that experience was like on Patreon, and then the evolution of your business once you launched on DubClub and started to build your business as the CEO of your own DubClub.
So I was calling a timeout because before Patreon, listen to this.
Yeah. What happened? What was before Patreon? Where'd you start? You had the WordPress site.
I had a shared Google sheet that
I forgot about
I was
this.
managing, and I was doing subscriptions through PayPal. I was taking people's DMs
Yuck.
through Discord who wanted to be a part of this VIP group that I was launching. Only the first 50 people can get in because that's what I was capping it at the time. I was like, 50 people, this is going to be the sharpest of the sharps. The best plays and stuff are going to be found here. If you guys want to be a part of it, you can. And that's how I started. And so it was a nightmare managing Discord access to this VIP group through a Google Sheet that I was sharing to different people with their email addresses, trying to keep up with payments and stuff like that through PayPal, make sure that everyone was paid up and everybody who was paid had access that they were paying for and all that other stuff. It was a nightmare. So yes, that was the absolute beginning of my VIP group journey. Not fun. And then I ended up going over to Patreon, and Patreon was definitely an upgrade from how I was doing things. But the thing with Patreon is it is a very large pond, and I was a little fish, and I wasn't getting the hands-on sort of one-to-one guidance and support from anyone over at Patreon that I was looking for. And, to be expected, they, of course, have so many people over there, and nobody over there really specializes in helping somebody like me who's in my shoes as a content creator in the sports betting industry. They didn't really have any specialists over there or anybody who could really give me sort of that one-on-one coaching or guidance or sort of hand-holding, I guess you could say. And so, after you and I went back and forth for months and months and months, I finally kicked the procrastinator inside of me to the side, and it's been all up ever since then, since joining DubClub. But Patreon, it's a distant memory, man. It's DubClub all the way.
Yeah, I mean, I remember specifics that you and I talked about before you had launched, and you had, if I could give high level, you had quoted a number that was, in the high four figures a month, in terms of revenue, and you were like, I'd really love to be able to break through that. And I remember in your second month on DubClub, you doubled that goal.
Yeah.
And I remember reaching out to you, and I was like, CJ, I told you. And then that's when I got that spark from you that was so inspiring. By the way, I talked about you on our Founding 3 podcast today with Dash and Lou.
Nice.
So catch that when we air it. But that spark that I got from you with I want to take this thing to the moon. And I was like, yes, because you can, right? You've got a lot of the intangibles that a lot of people have, but you have the knowledge, you have the background in IT, which I actually think is pretty important. You understand how to create high quality content. You understand how to engage an audience, how to be authentic with people. And I think there are certain things about your business that you can still take to new heights, but I'm really excited to be your partner on that journey. Our company at DubClub is building the foundation, the operating system for you, CJ, and all of our CEO partners to really view your guys' business as a business that you can start to delegate people to do things that make it easier for you to get more people in the door so you can give them information, benefit more people, you make more money, everyone wins. And we sit at the nexus of that. And I'm glad that you are DubClub all the way, because it's really just the beginning. I know you've been on the platform now. You've had your business for a little over a year, but gosh, it really feels like, it really feels like the beginning. Really feels like the beginning. And I know you were able to take a bit of a break recently, or at least, you're telling me, we talked about this, it's a grind, right? You get going, you start to produce content. That's really your marketing. You got to create awareness for the product you're offering. But at a certain point, it's a bit of a grind. Talk a little about, over the holidays, how do you decompress a bit? And if I'm somebody that, is listening to this and I am an entrepreneur of any sort, right? Either in this specific industry, giving people advice on what to bet on, how to do it, or, just starting a business online. And I have to utilize social media to create a lot of awareness around my content. What advice would you have for someone like that to avoid potential burnout, to really give themselves a chance to recharge and chase their dreams?
Well, I think the big thing for me and why I was able to have the success that I had was At the beginning of 2021, as we talked about, PrizePicks wasn't really well known. And I saw there was an opportunity in the content creation space where you would go onto YouTube and you would search for PrizePicks videos at the beginning of 2021 and you wouldn't find much. And so I think I was able to recognize that there was a gap in the content space in regards to PrizePicks content at the time. And I just happened to be the right guy at the right place at the right time. And I was able to recognize the opportunity there, and that's why I started to just go hard on creating PrizePicks videos. And I think that is not my doing. I think that there's a little bit of divinity there from the big man above. I don't think it was happenstance or dumb luck that I stumbled onto that. I think at that time I was a desperate guy who was looking to make something of myself and who was looking for more. And it fell into my lap. I went looking and I found what I was looking for. And I say all that to say that there is so many opportunities out there right now to do exactly what I did for some other companies out there. I bet if you went out there right now and you looked at player prop videos for sites like Sleeper or Better or Underdog or Fliff or some of these other ones that aren't as well known, I bet that there's opportunity there right now. Like if I wanted to just put my channel on pause, which is mostly PrizePicks related content, and go start a new channel right now, that's probably what I would be looking for. I'd be looking for the next PrizePicks. What's going to be that next hero app? Is it going to be, Sleeper, who I don't think gets enough shine and doesn't get talked about quite enough? Is it going to be Jake Paul's Better app? I mean, they're getting a lot of attention and buzz and stuff. So I think that if somebody who wanted it bad enough and was ambitious and wanted to go out there and learn the skills and do exactly what I did, if they wanted to go and pursue that there's absolutely an opportunity out there for someone out there to become the next, content creator, the number one content creator for whatever that next big hero app might be. So I would say that some of my tips would be, if somebody wants to take me up on that, is to go out there and do a little bit of research around whatever platform you want to build on. It could be YouTube, it could be Instagram. I don't know about TikTok's future, but it could be TikTok. But go out there and do a little bit of research. And, if you find that there's not a lot of results for something that you're looking for, start building, even if it's not sports betting related, whatever it may be. If you want to talk about Smurfs, as Gary Vee always says, you can make a whole career and YouTube channel out of, your favorite things about Smurfs. I mean, whatever your passion is. But I highly recommend checking out, I believe it's called Jab, Right Hook or something like that. It's a book by Gary Vaynerchuk. It basically changed a lot of my perspective about turning passion into profits and really helped kind of like launch what I'm doing right now. So big kudos to Gary Vee. I know a lot of people hear his videos and are like, oh, this guy's absolutely ridiculous. But if you really listen, there's a lot of good information and good advice in there. And he was the one that built up the confidence in me that said, hey, you could always go back to your IT career, but you need to take a chance on yourself. You need to bet on yourself. If this doesn't work out, you've got the IT career in your back pocket. You could always go back. And so with that in mind, I did what I did, and now I'm at where I'm at. And so, definitely go out there, do your homework, and then be like persistent. Just, once you find out what your thing is, consistent, persistent, just continue to grind and continue to knock out videos and publish content. Maybe you're not a video person. Maybe your medium is more like, I'd rather put out tweets. You can build out a fantastic following over on Twitter, X, just by sending out tweets. I see people with hundreds of thousands of, followers over there. I mean, that's another great way you can, build your social media empire or influence. And then from there, once you build up the audience, man, you can then ask them to buy things from you, sell them a product. So
yes. Yeah, CJ, that's not only practical advice, but also visionary advice.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have to have something in mind first before you want to make money from people paying you. Like you have to have some value you're providing them most of the times for free. That's that marketing halo that you must create, and then you can convert people from there. I'm interested to dig in with you a little bit more. If you're talking to somebody that is thinking about, they have this thought in their head. They think that they are pretty good at betting on sports. They love sports, and they're working a job that they may not like. Whether it's a 9-to-5 or whether they're on Wall Street and they're grinding to make $85,000 a year. For someone like you that's built a sustainable 6-figure business that has very little overhead, that is chasing your dream and chasing your passion, what advice would you have for somebody as it pertains to your relationship with DubClub and how they could utilize a technology partner like DubClub to really realize financial freedom and realize a future that they may not know can exist?
Yeah, I was that guy at one point. I was the guy that was sitting at his IT help desk job, and on one monitor I had the ticketing system up, and then on the next monitor I had what are going to be my DFS plays for today. Who am I taking on FanDuel and DraftKings to build the perfect lineup so I can win that $1 million prize? So I was that guy at one point. I've been playing fantasy sports since I was 13 years old, fantasy football, back before they even had fantasy football online internet leagues. And so this is something that's been a lifelong passion of mine. And I would say that's one of the big things, is that you have to be passionate about it in order for it to go anywhere. If you want it bad enough, if you're passionate about it bad enough, you can make it happen. So it started off as like a side hustle for me. To be honest with you, like I said, I was at the IT job, and then I was, always doing this, and I was doing it for free. Now I'm doing it, but I just happen to get paid for my knowledge, expertise, and skills. So it's the American dream personified for sure. But yeah, I would say for most people who are kind of stuck in a situation where they, have financial obligations, they probably can't do what I did and just quit their job cold turkey, move out and move into their in-laws or parents' house and stay there for 4 years and build something from the ground up. They probably can't do that. So you're going to have to probably start off as a side hustle. You find a little time, you whip out your phone. You don't need fancy equipment. You don't need fancy technology or anything. Use what you have around you. Pick up that phone, point it at your face, and start something like a TikTok, an Instagram, a YouTube Shorts channel, and start putting your knowledge and expertise out there on the world stage for people to find out and discover who you are and what you're about. I would say that's the biggest thing, is to start. And then once you start, don't stop. The only way you can fail is if you quit. So,
it's a powerful force in physics called momentum.
Yeah, it's huge. It's real. It's definitely real.
That is real. And it is our duty as your technology partner to ensure that momentum does not stop. Once it's going in the right direction, we want to keep it going and compounding like a snowball.
Oh, it's night and day. Like I said, from previous partners to now, well, I wouldn't even call my previous setup a partnership. DubClub is absolutely a partnership. And that is something that I was sorely lacking in my previous setups before. So yeah, it's not even a close comparison, Patreon to DubClub. So DubClub has been an absolute game changer for me. I can't tell you how many people have found me just through DubClub discovery, been recommended or pushed toward me, thanks to DubClub. So I'm not the best, admittedly so, of being my own hype man or marketing man. I wear a lot of hats. I wear a small marketing hat. I should be a bigger marketing hat, but thank God I've got somebody in my corner like you guys who are going to bat for me, even whenever I'm not available to go to bat for myself. So very thankful.
That's what we're here for. I mean, again, the business operating system, we want to cover everything for you from marketing to sales and getting people in the door, recapturing them if they leave and they should come back because you're on a heater or there is a new season coming up, you got a new package dropping, whatever it might be, all the way through to like delivering the content on time and making sure you'll see very soon with some of the new functionality and features we're releasing that you can start delegating things. You mentioned you're not a huge marketer, at least like the hat that you wear for marketing is small compared to the other hats that you wear for the other parts of your business. We're trying to make it easier for you to delegate some of those things. So you should check out new affiliates functionality in your DubClub. If you have people that you found on social media that, CJ, you think have a decent microphone and people want to listen to them, and or they could help contribute to the content experience behind the paywall of your DubClub, you can create an affiliate link, a sales affiliate link for them, send it out to them. You can even send it to some of your subscribers that are very loyal. Just like send it in the Discord community, and you give it a commission. So any sale they bring in, they'll automatically be paid a percent that you stipulate. So if you say 50% of whatever sale you bring in as my sales affiliate, you'll get to keep. They will be able to make money helping more people find you and helping everyone win more together. I don't know if you've seen that feature yet, but does that sound something that could, from a marketing standpoint at least and a sales standpoint, help to start to alleviate some of the pressures from you in terms of like constantly having to be on and sell and promote yourself?
Oh yeah, I could see the potential in that completely. I've gotten to the point now where I'm like considering starting to like maybe look at hiring someone out just to do simple stuff like tweeting about, the latest DubClub promotion that I'm running, or tweeting about my partnership with this app or that app, and maybe they're running a free square that day or whatever. So I might tap into that before I go out and hire anybody. That might be a useful thing for someone like me.
Would the person you'd want to hire to be posting on your or on social media about your promotions, would that be someone who's running your account, or would they be on their own account talking about you, trying to drive people to your business?
It would probably be just someone who can kind of pick up sort of that slack, like I said, when it comes to promoting things, whether it be DubClub related or PrizePicks or Underdog or Sleeper or Better, one of these apps that I'm partnered with. Maybe they're running some kind of promotion or something like that. Someone who can just stay on top of that and let me stick to what I do best, which is putting out great videos and putting out winning picks, plays, and parlays every day. So something like that. Yeah,
good. Love it. I want to talk about that with you more offline, because I think there's a lot of opportunities to tap into that delegation aspect, get you doing what you do best, which is really that like top of funnel content creation and not the constant. I think of that as like interaction with your community. It's obviously really important, but you have to be building that parasocial relationship with people who are listening to you. It's just a lot of effort. Like
it is.
Talk a little bit about how often you're on social media. I don't know if you look at the numbers on your phone. I think you're mostly on your computer, though, a lot of the time in comparison to some of our other CEO partners. But do you have an idea of, like, over the course of a week, how many hours you spend on social media, including, call it YouTube, YouTube, Twitter, Discord, whatever it might be?
Yeah, so with the content piece, as far as like me making videos and putting videos out there, thankfully, I've kind of nailed this down. Now I've posted 600 plus videos on YouTube to date. So I've kind of got a pretty good system set up now as far as keeping the videos, between a 10 to 20 minute runtime. So that doesn't take too much time out of my day. Now there are best practices, like obviously the markets are pretty soft in the mornings or the night before. So kind of getting your content out there as early as possible, or making your picks or your plays or your parlays, before the lines start to sharpen up is always advantageous. But as far as the time in on a single video, maybe 30 minutes to an hour in terms of research, recording, and uploading. I have a style where I'm a one-take guy. If I stumble, stutter, slip up, or something like that, I'm not re-recording it. I don't sit there in Adobe Premiere and edit my videos, because unfortunately, my content has a very short shelf life. Once those games begin at 7 p.m. Eastern time for that NBA slate, nobody's going to go back and watch that video ever again. And so that's kind of the bad side of the type of content that I create. It's not evergreen material. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean a whole lot 24 hours later. So that's where it kind of comes back to, you just have to kind of continue to feed the beast and be, consistent with what you do, with this beast that we do here, this nature of the sports betting thing being a daily thing, the more you can put videos out and content out, the better. Outside of YouTube, I don't really produce content on a whole lot of other platforms or mediums. I've dabbled on some TikTok, some Instagram, on Twitter, but I would like to probably build a little bit more of an audience on Twitter. But I mostly consume on some of these other apps that I'm mentioning rather than create. So with whatever little time I have left, it's usually spent posting picks into DubClub and Discord. I post all my picks through DubClub exclusively to our Discord that we have linked to DubClub. So yeah, I mean, it takes up a lot of time between making videos and researching and posting picks every day. So
yeah, again, I come back to the element of you're running a business. I think that's something that needs to be, and do you feel that way? Do you feel oh yeah, I'm the CEO of this business, or does it still feel like a side gig or a project to you? And how does it feel a year and a half in now?
Oh, it's a real business for sure. There are multiple hats, as I mentioned before, that I wear. I'm content creator. I'm Discord community manager. I'm bet and player prop analyst, researcher. I'm social media manager right now. I'm also having to manage my finances and make sure things are getting paid and the lights don't turn off on me. And oh yeah, it's a real business. There's lots and lots of hats that I wear. And yeah, you spread yourself pretty thin, but I'll tell you one thing, I would never trade it all to go back to a cubicle in corporate America ever again. The way that my last boss made me feel, I remind myself of that, so that it's motivation to keep going and doing what I'm doing. I'm like, no. We're never going back to having somebody have you under their thumb, essentially. I didn't like that feeling. So that's
well, whenever you're feeling a little down, you gotta talk to your current boss. So you go to the mirror and you look in the mirror and you say, hey, this is what I'm doing today, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
And a shocking thing will happen is it'll agree, because it's you.
Exactly.
You get to decide,
right,
as the CEO of your own business, what you get to do on a daily basis, and who you get to delegate things to, right?
Yep.
As you continue to evolve the business and grow in ways in 2025, which again, we're only a couple years into this, into the CurryTheCreator brand, you'll notice things that you can start to offload. You'll notice things in the product. We'll do a better job of making you aware of them. And I'm really excited to take some of those things off your plate. It sounds like and I actually looked at the data before we talked, but about 20% of your paying subscriptions have come from the DubClub network. So through discovery, through winback, through automated marketing, whatever it might be. So there's some of that coming in marketing and sales taken off your plate, but still you have to do the majority of it, which is typical for this type of business. And then, the back office stuff, waste of time. I have a couple of suggestions for you on that, so we should touch base on that after this.
Cool.
And eventually, hopefully, all you really have to do, CJ, is produce the content. That's kind of what I'm trying to get to for you with our product. And, I'm excited to see it evolve with you at our side, giving us feedback at every step. There's the new web page that we're releasing soon that you've really wanted for a long time. We're finally shipping that in this cycle after iterations of design. We got a new designer in the door. It's going to be awesome. You're going to be able to put a highlighted video feature right there on the front page of your DubClub webpage.
Awesome.
People will be able to see who you are, what you offer, what you're about. It should increase conversion substantially. And then we're optimizing checkout, so it's a hell of a lot easier. Think about from a sales standpoint, how bad it is when checkout's confusing. This is going to be one click. Everything's going to be right there. One click, different payment options, fastest checkout on the market. I'm really excited for that. We're building it for our partners, for our CEO partners like you, but really to inform more consumers with less effort required from you. You drop a link. They don't even have to think. They don't have to choose different options. They get gravitated to the most popular thing. If there's a free trial available, we'll give them the free trial on your guys' behalf if you've offered that publicly. And it's no one has to think, right? don't think of what you're purchasing. You're going to buy a subscription to Curry the Creator, and he's going to help you make better decisions betting on PrizePicks. So just choose what the heck shows up when you click that damn DubClub link.
Right.
It's very simple. We're trying to make it really thoughtless for people. And I'm excited for you to get to experience some of that on the business user side, sending out first customizing your profile and then sending out your link to your audience.
I love the way that sounds, and I think the end user is going to absolutely love that as well. I think there's a lot of people out there that just want a fully, automated solution where, they want to be involved in sports betting or playing daily fantasy sports, but don't have the time to do the research or don't have the tools or don't have the skill set. And I think DubClub is the perfect partner to help those people find, what it is that they're looking for, a solution to that problem. So.
Agreed. Talking about betting and your product experience, because you mentioned a lot of hats you wear. You didn't mention the head of product, which is also what you are. You're the chief product officer, because you're going in the lab, you're doing the research on what's on the slate tonight. What are we looking at? What player matchups have and you can talk us through exactly what you do, but there's different ways to look at it, different ways to run the models, whatever it might be. You're going in the lab and you're actually doing the research for the product experience that then you provide to the consumer in the form of your paywalled content. That is the plays that people pay for. And the community feel, of course, being able to ask questions, understand what's behind, one play versus the next. Can you talk a little about your betting strategy, just generally what goes into the sausage making of the product that you provide to consumers, and how you would present that offering if this was the video that goes on your DubClub webpage?
Yeah, so I come from, as I mentioned before, a fantasy football background. And that fantasy football background kind of merged into playing daily fantasy sports. And so for me, projection models are a real big thing that I use in sort of decision making. And I don't use just one projection model. I use multiple projection models, and I've been blessed to be afforded the opportunity to kind of partner up with some of them. So it's kind of cool to go from like guy who just uses these tools to guy who is now partnered with these tool makers. And so, that's a big thing that I use is projection models. And I think more people should probably look into using projection models. And maybe it's not the end all be all, and it's not the only thing that you use, but I think it should be taken into consideration a lot more. I was watching some podcasts and interviews over the last 6 to 12 months of Billy Walters, who's considered by many to be the Michael Jordan of sports betting. And now,
have you read his book?
I have it back here on the shelf. Yeah, actually, I did.
It's like Secrets of a Life at Risk or something.
Yeah.
I listened to that on audio.
Highly recommend. Watch his interviews. There's so much you can learn from this guy, whether it be through the book or whether it be through his interviews. He was on Joe Rogan, so I know a lot of people watch Joe Rogan's podcast. Check out his interview with Billy Walters. But anyway, I learned a lot of really helpful information from a guy like that. Now, he's got the means to be able to afford to hire an entire team of people who are what they call originators, who can kind of create their own, whether it be money lines or what they think the player projections are going to be for a given sport. And I don't have the means to do that. So I have to pay for services or partner with, people who have those services available to me. But I say all that to say that one of the biggest tips that I gained from him by listening to his content, reading his book, is really anytime you win a bet, you're getting lucky. And those are right out of his words, right out of his mouth. And one of the other big things that I learned from him was that he basically gets all his guys together, they crunch the numbers, and he looks for the biggest differential between the numbers that they originate and the numbers that are being offered on your favorite sports books or player prop apps or whatever it may be. And if that gap or that differential is big enough, that's an opportunity for us to bet. And I use those same kind of principles day in and day out, and using the different various player projection models that I lean on each and every day to help make a lot of those decisions as well. And then you just hope that things play out the way that they're projected to, and sometimes they do, and then of course sometimes they don't. But that's sports betting for you.
Well, when you give your best to the world returns the favor. Something I learned when I was playing football. That was our strength and conditioning coach, Shannon Turley. Big shout out. He was like strength and conditioning coach of the year. Similar concept. You give your best to the world. You do all the research. You do what you can to prepare, and then you sit back, and the world will return the favor. You have to just trust it. People get so impatient with sports betting. But CJ, you explained that really well. I'm so impressed. You know, the years of being on camera, it's very clear the way that you can articulate things in a very easily understandable manner. You explained that very well. I mean, using the Billy Walters analogy and the way that he presented people who have read the book. If they haven't yet, I highly recommend you read it. Just listen to the audiobook. It's not too long, but it has really interesting stories about his background too. And it talks about that system that he put in place, especially, around the Super Bowl. Really interesting stories with that. It just a really awesome parallel that you drew there. And I think makes a ton of sense for people that are maybe thinking about subscribing. You're very, would you describe yourself as methodical in terms of your approach? Like, is it very consistent and the approach is not one where you're betting with instinct or gut? You're oftentimes betting largely fueled by the brain rather than the stomach. And sometimes maybe the heart, right? Like the heart is a little bit of more emotion, but the brain and the heart work very closely together where the things that you've studied are probably feeding what you're feeling at the same time, and that might inform some of the decisions that you end up making.
Yeah, if you're familiar with Myers-Briggs and the personality types, I'm an INTP personality type, which is very analytical. And so, yes, all of what I do, how I have my Discord set up, it's very organized, it's very logical, it's very methodical. Same thing goes into my decision making when it comes to betting. I take my emotions out of it. I'm not somebody who lets recency bias cloud my judgment. I'm the type of guy where if this guy sold me on a prop one day ago, I'm going right back to that guy because I know most NBA players play up to their averages. And if he had a bad game last game, that's probably an opportunity for me to go back, being that last game was a below average game for him, and he should bounce back most of the time. So I look for little opportunities like that. But yes, very analytical, very data driven in my approach, very data driven in my decision making, and I think that's how it should be. Now, every once in a while, I might step out on a limb and say, there's a little bit of narrative going on here, like Joel Embiid versus Pascal Siakam. Both of these guys are from Cameroon. They play with a lot of pride when they go head to head against one another, and their numbers are typically better when they face one another. Or a guy like Domantas Sabonis versus Jonas Valanciunas, both guys from Lithuania. They tend to play better when they go against each other. So there's different things out there that I kind of take notes on and tuck away in my back pocket. Kobe White, when he plays in Charlotte, he's from the area. He played for the UNC Tar Heels. He usually likes to show out when he's playing against the Hornets at Charlotte. Yep. So stuff like that. Yeah, I definitely keep tabs on those little narratives, and we'll make a bet accordingly based on those things sometimes.
I love it. And I'm also similar. I don't think I have the same exact Myers-Briggs, but you said you're INTP?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is like thoughtful, reflective, analytical, introverted.
Yep.
I think is how that would translate. The last time I took it, at least I was ENFJ, whatever that means. I'm not sure. I know I'm an introvert too, so I can resonate with you. I appreciate that. I'm sure a lot of people out there are. And it's really hard because getting in front of a camera as an introvert may feel unnatural at first, but at the end of the day, you're just with yourself. That's what's cool. Mm-hmm. If you're an introverted person and you're thinking about how do I build a relationship with people on social media, well, gosh, you're just talking with yourself. You do that all the time. You're always in your own head anyways. You might as well talk into a camera and avoid the things that people are going to respond, see if they like it, if they comment, if it gets interaction, and just iterate from there, right? That's probably what happened, I would think, with a lot of your YouTube videos is you saw that they got traction. People liked them. Your YouTube channel started growing. You and I talked about this a while ago. You had a goal to get to thousands of users, and it's like, whoa, you're seeing it just continue to scale. And that's just like, oh yeah, this stuff is working. But at the end of the day, you're just basically talking. You're taking what you did the research on and you're just like regurgitating it out loud. Yep. And people are going to consume it on the other end. You don't have to actually be having a conversation with somebody unless you're going to go live, which I don't know if you do any TikTok or YouTube live. Is that something that you've got in your arsenal?
So actually
Instagram
for that,
Live, I think they have that now.
for that 2-year period where I was an exclusive PrizePicks ambassador, I was going live every day. That's the only type of content I was doing for about 1 to 2 years, was doing live streams on YouTube every single day. It was a show, essentially. Wow. I would go on there for an hour, sometimes 2 hours, 3 hours, being in front of the camera, interacting with the live chat. And I absolutely do go live, or have gone live plenty of times before. I've got hours and hours of live streaming. If you go on my YouTube channel and check it out, you can watch some of the past live streams that we've done. But going live is a lot of fun. I think that's a big opportunity, especially on a platform like TikTok, where you can build an audience pretty, I won't say easily, but steadily. Over on like TikTok, through doing like those TikTok lives like you talked about. Now you do have to have, I think, 1,000 users or something like that before they let you go live on TikTok. So you don't just get to do it right out of the gate. You have to earn it, but worth doing as long as TikTok's around. But you could always go YouTube or Instagram and build that same sort of platform if you wanted to as well. But
you must have had to muster up a lot of energy to go on those TikTok lives.
Yeah, it's definitely, for somebody who's more introverted, asking a lot. There'd be a lot of times where I would do like a marathon stream sometimes and go 3+ hours, and then by the end of it, I hit the end stream button. I'm just like,
you just fall asleep.
Battery's just dead. Like, plug me in. I need to go recharge and like just be away from a camera, be away from the lights for a while. But it's a lot of fun, because with live streams, it gives you unparalleled access to your audience, and then having access to you really allows you to kind of build a stronger relationship through those live streams. They get to know you as a person, they get to know your personality, and you get to interact with them through that live chat system and stuff. And so a lot of people who are my OGs, my ride or dies, my day one A1s, they know me from my live streams and have stuck around in my DubClub and Discord for a really long time, longer than they probably ever would have thought they would have, just because they've really gotten to know me as a person. And I think that's the advantage that being on video, being on camera has over something like an anonymous Twitter or X account. So
I agree. One of our other CEO partners, Bet Sharper, was on this podcast, I think 3 or 4 episodes ago. He exclusively goes live. Like, he doesn't do any other form of marketing, no other form of sales, like no promotions on Twitter, no DM sales, nothing. Like, just goes on TikTok every day, goes live, and has an interaction in the comments with people that are on the other end of the screen. It's remarkable. And he's built a multi 6-figure a year business from doing that. So it's very possible, but he's also introverted. And so what we talked about, not necessarily on the podcast, I talked with him before and after about it. You have to really be in that mindset when you step into it. You have to lock in, you have to recenter yourself, and then you have to get away afterwards. Like, I like that you shut the lights off, you relax, because the quality of the interaction and the content that you create when you're in those moments is pivotal. Like, it has to be good. It can't just be crap. Otherwise, you're going to lose your audience pretty fast. So I think you've got the right orientation, and I bring that up because Bet Sharper has built something very successful as well, and there's a lot you guys can learn from each other. So if you're not going live right now or anymore, I think there's an opportunity to potentially dip back into that pool, because it's evergreen. But one thing I will say is there's a lot of uncertainty around TikTok in particular. So I like the YouTube Live. I think that's a good outlet. It's safe. It just doesn't have the same algorithm and the same audience. So it's difficult. I think Instagram's probably going to get there faster once TikTok starts to wind down, if it does. I know there's a lot of legislation around that right now. But generally speaking, I'm impressed, given like what we've talked about with your personality, introverted, that you found so much joy in that. But it makes sense, right? Like, you're doing what you're passionate about at the end of the day. You're talking about sports and plays and helping people and answering questions.
To your point, a little bit going into like the differences between like YouTube and TikTok algorithms. This is a little nerdy, but we'll talk about it just for a second.
No,
I was going live
bring it
every
on.
day. Yeah, I was going live every day on YouTube for probably the better part of 2 years, and I wasn't seeing the kind of growth that some of the other people who started making Prize Picks videos after me was getting. And I started wondering, like, why? Why is this happening? The live content doesn't seem to be the way for you to go in terms of growth on YouTube. Once I stopped doing live content and I started making pre-recorded video content that was between 10 and 15 minutes, skyrocketed. I like doubled my subscriber count in a matter of like a few months around this time last year. So that was a big thing for me. A big learning curve was like, stop going live as much on YouTube. Not that you don't have to, or not that you should stop altogether. You could still go live once in a while, but that should not be your only and primary way of creating content on YouTube, because the growth for that absolutely sucks. Unless you're a big figure, like let's say you were a Joe Rogan level, Theo Von level, like podcast, where you already have a name and an established brand. If you were to go live like a Pat McAfee and do that via YouTube and do a live stream that way, that's a whole different situation. But if you're like me, who was someone small and just kind of trying to start something up, I don't recommend going live every day. But it was in my contract with PrizePicks to do this live stream, live show every day. And so I was just doing, they were signing the checks. So I was just doing what, they wanted me to do in their list of deliverables. But once I kind of got the inkling that we weren't going to go forward anymore, I changed my content strategy into short form videos that were easily more digestible, 10 minutes or so in length. Then I started to pack on way more subscribers, because the YouTube algorithms were then recommending my videos to a much wider audience, because people weren't staying on a 1 hour video from their mobile device watching my live stream like they were a 10-minute video from their mobile device on my live stream, or versus the live stream. So it matters a lot. Pretty much all your sports bets, a lot of them are made with this little device right here. And so you have to create content and meet people where they stand. People are going to be on their mobile devices. You need to create mobile-friendly content that's quick, digestible, and actionable, so that they can go from that video over to their favorite sports betting app and place that pick and tail your play. So I started to make that connection late 2023, and it's made a big difference in my growth on YouTube. So just a little bit of information, kind of nerdy. Hopefully it helps somebody out there, though.
Super helpful. Super helpful. And I think those kinds of tips are why people listen to this. It's very, very valuable for them to understand, whether most of this is like business user audience, people that are thinking of building a business. But there are, folks that are looking to find people that actually know how to navigate what to create from a content standpoint and the right way to do it, and people that take themselves seriously as business owners and treat their customers as such. Because at the end of the day, anyone that's buying something from you is a customer. They're a customer of yours. They want to be treated right. They want to get a good experience. They want to come back if they do get a good experience. Not complicated. Same principle applies when you go to Costco. You want to be treated well. You want to get some good samples, right? Like, similar thing here. They just want to be treated well by the person they're buying from.
Yep.
And that is you in this instance. So, CJ, with that in mind, given a lot of your business is oriented at the end of the day, obviously you make money from giving people good advice, or when I say good, I mean just informational content that they can use for their benefit.
Yep.
As it relates to sports betting and participating in an activity that they love doing, which, again, 50 million people in the U.S. alone bet on sports every week. Can you talk a little bit about some of the case studies that you've come across with subscribers that may have used the information you've given them to their benefit in one way or the other? Some of the things that I've heard in the past, which, like, some of the most absurd things, like in terms of like heart-wrenching in the best way for me, is like helping to pay off cancer treatment using the money made from the advice given from one of our CEO partners. Like stuff like that, incredible, buying cars, whatever, putting a down payment on a house over time. Have you heard anything from your subscriber base that has resonated and really like reinforced that sense of, yeah, this is why I do this, and it all starts with why?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've had stories similar to the ones that you've already mentioned where, guy made several $100s or a couple $1,000s in the span of like a week, tailing some of the picks that I've posted to Discord through DubClub. And he's like, man, I was able to not only pay this month's rent, but next month's rent as well. Or I was able to put gifts under the Christmas tree. I was able to buy my kids exactly what they wanted for Christmas thanks to your place. And
That's
you hear a
awesome.
lot of that feedback via, YouTube. You hear a lot of that feedback via members who are in DubClub and Discord. And so, yeah, I mean, that type of stuff right there just like warms your heart and is exactly like you said, why we do what we do. I started off wanting to bring people together when I went out on this venture and creating content and creating community. I wanted to bring people together because if you think back around 2020, 2021, very divisive time in our nation. A lot of crap was happening, and I was like, I just want like a place that people can come together instead of being at each other's throats and being against one another. How can I like bring people together? And I think sports was like that perfect catalyst to do that. And then sports betting obviously just ties right into that. And so it's been an awesome thing. I've met so many awesome people through doing what I do via YouTube, via Discord. People tell me all the time, I thought I was just going to be here for 1 month and try it out. I'm in here for life. You can't get rid of me, brother. And I was like, wow, well, that's what I like to hear, man. And so I've built some really like good friendships and really good connections with people, and people have met other people through these communities and through Discord as well. So yeah, that's been one of the like things that I don't think I thought about going into this that has really been like a pleasant surprise is how people are meeting one another and making connections and making friendships that might end up lasting a lifetime. So
That's so freaking cool. And that's what sports betting is all about too,
Yep.
is the fun aspect, fun and social. It's intellectually stimulating. It's all these things that are actually really good for your brain, right? As you age, like there are things that neurologists say are really good for the human brain. And
yeah,
that like literally social interaction, what you just described, making friends online, doing an activity everyone loves to do together, the intellectual stimulation, actually having something where there's numbers involved and you're having to think, and obviously putting some sense of excitement and something to look forward to. Those are all actually really good for people if they do so in a way that they are disciplined and take your advice and the advice of these people that are building these awesome businesses that I view as consulting businesses at the end of the day. Like it's like having a wealth advisor, but around
Yep.
something that's a lot more fun than just keep your money in some savings account. It's like, no, you're actively managing your somewhat disposable income on betting on sports, and you can make some money from it. It's pretty exciting.
exactly.
I love that.
Yep.
I love the story of the Christmas presents too, because it's time
Yeah.
when we just got through the holidays, and people that when we get back to the holidays next year, sign up for Curry the Creator. You've got some Christmas present money waiting for you under the theoretical tree of his DubClub.
That's right. We're gonna stuff those stockings.
Yeah. So, CJ, I have one last question for you before we wrap up the podcast, and it's one of my favorite ones because it really will get behind the scenes of how good you are at what you do, but also how gut punching it can be sometimes to do what you do. Talk about your biggest wins. So some of your biggest tickets, if you can remember them in terms of the dollars that went out and the dollars that came back. And then talk about some of your worst beats.
Gotcha. Well, I'm primarily a PrizePicks player, as you may have gathered from this conversation that we've had. And so PrizePicks is pretty much a parlay. I mean, that's all you can do is play anything from a 2-leg up to a 6-leg entry on PrizePicks. And so as anybody knows who's played parlays, there are some of those glorious moments where you get that perfect slip of 6 out of 6, and on PrizePicks you get paid up to 25 times your money. And then there's the other side of that where you're off by one pick, and it's not just you're off by one pick, you're off by 1 yard or 1 point on that pick. And so as far as biggest, I mean, I try to usually risk about 1% of my bankroll per slip. I am very disciplined when it comes to what I risk per slip and then the overall amount that I risk in a given day. And I think bankroll management is one thing that's probably not talked about enough when it comes to sports betting. I think so many people are focused on, nuking a pick or a play or a bet instead of playing the long game. If you realize that, hey, we get to bet on something every single day, we should probably pace ourselves, right? Yeah, like this is a 365 day type of situation here. And I look for, those long-term results versus like, oh, the last couple of days have been absolute crap. Because it's going to happen. You're going to have those hot streaks and you're going to have those cold streaks. And I like to say that neither one lasts forever. So having bankroll management and being a disciplined bettor is going to help you ride those rough waters and set you up for success in the long run. But yeah, I mean, I've won $1,000+, 6-pick slips on PrizePicks. And then I've had those ones where, countless 5 out of 6 or 4 out of 6 on PrizePicks as well. I keep telling myself I need to get on a sports book and do more straight bets and to use like a stock or investing term, have a better blend to my investments when it comes to sports betting every day. Like have like a certain amount of money allocated to just my straight bets and then a certain amount allocated to my PrizePicks, lotto style 6-pick parlays. So that way the profit and loss sort of balances itself out a little bit. You're a little safer with your straight bets typically, but yeah, I mean, it can be an absolute brutal game, especially when you're depending on all 6 legs to hit on a parlay for you to get that 25x payout. I've had situations where, I mean, just the other night, Jaden Daniels at the end of the game goes and kneels for -4 yards, and I think it costs a whole lot of people who bet on Jaden Daniels rushing yards a lot of money with that last minute kneel that he did against the Buccaneers. And so that's just a prime example of a bad beat that can, at the very, very end of the game, just do you dirty. So,
yeah, the quarterback over under rush yard is always a toss up. I've actually heard like 3 separate stories now. It's like Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, when they have to take a knee and they break the over by like taking a 2 or 3 yard loss. It's just like, that is unbelievable.
Well,
there's only so much you can do, right? Like you can't control that.
The best was when Tom Brady was playing and they would set his rushing yard prop at -1 rushing yards or -1.5 rushing yards or -0.5 rushing yards. Because, you figure the Buccaneers get the lead, they get into a victory formation. He's probably going to kneel for negative, yardage. And so, is this going to be
he's
that
not running the ball otherwise.
Right. Like, is this going to be that once in a lifetime game where he actually scrambles for 3 yards and, maybe you have a little bit of cushion to take the over at the end of the game where they're favored to win? I mean, it's just crazy with those quarterback rushing yards. I try to avoid those mostly, but
yeah, those are traps. Those are traps. CJ, this has been an absolute blast. I think before I let you go, I have one question, and that is there anything on your radar, whether it's a player or a matchup coming up soon, that is a must play?
Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Los Angeles Rams.
There you go.
Do with that what you will.
There you go. I love it. Fly, Eagles, fly. I'm with it.
That's right.
CJ, this has been an absolute blast. Thank you for joining the CEO Corner podcast. Thank you to everyone who listened. We will catch you on the next episode.